I hope you guys are following the Ukrainian war, and I hope you're following it in a way where you get a balanced view between the East and the West. If I know it's difficult if you're just an English speaker, but you can always use Google Translate, and most YouTube videos these days do have automatic subtitles. So for the longest time, I did not understand the significance of this Ukrainian war. I took it as face value. I thought really it was just a NATO expansion, getting to a point where Russia can no longer tolerate, and Russia is now pushing back against it. I thought that was it. It was Russia versus NATO. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. Now I start to see what's really happening. In the last 4 weeks, you see a slew of things happening that is changing my perspective of what's really happening. What's really happening is the Ukrainian war is really a contest now between the East and the West. You should think about it. U.S. has been calling sanctions on all its allies and I would say non-aligned nations. But some of its even the strongest allies like Korea, Korea, India, and so forth are not jumping on board, right? And think about it also with the silicon warfare between the U.S. and China. Right now there are two fabs that are way ahead of the U.S., which is one is in Taiwan, one's in Korea. And both are giving verbal commitment. Taiwan's giving verbal commitment to set up facilities in the U.S. Korea is still on the sideline, hasn't given a clear commitment. And there's clear reasons for them, because it's not in their interest to move their fabs to the United States. Economic reasons, financial reasons, labor force reasons, there are many reasons, right? There's a reason why these stuff are always in Asia, manufacturing. And if Japan has any balls, today Japan would have a very good silicon wafer manufacturing too. So, and then on top of that, you're starting to see, okay, Russia, India, good friends for years, right? So India is not going to vote against Russia. Russia, China, good friends, simply because U.S. pushed Russia and China together by antagonizing both and making enemy of both at the same time. Terrible move. And now what Russia is doing is bringing China and India back together. So you can see that suddenly now you have an alternative universe of military, currency, economics, finance, resources, politics even at some level of alliance forming, where these countries that verbally seem to be non-aligned are actually making clear moves into forming a separate bloc that is outside of Western Bloc. Western Bloc simply means Western Europe, a small number of Eastern European countries, and the United States, and the Five Eyes, right? Who will win? Well, I can tell you, if you're a traditional economist, and you understand the economic through the traditional means, you would say probably Eastern Bloc, because they have the population, the resources, and they have the youth. What they don't have, unfortunately, is technology, not yet at least, and they don't have the control of the established world system. There are a lot of people that are standing on sidelines, like us, Southeast Asia. We're standing on sidelines. I'm sure the guys in South America, Africa are also standing on sideline. They're not doing nothing. They're taking deals that are in their favor for sure, but they're not going to clearly voice their affinity to either bloc, right? Because why would they? It makes no sense for them to declare allegiance at this point. They're going to wait and see who's going to win this contest. So, with the recent mobilization announcement of Russia, this is going to even get hotter. It's not going away. In fact, this battle between the Western established power bloc and the Eastern emerging bloc is going to intensify. And obviously, by the mobilization and the recent meeting between Xi and Putin in Russia, they have calculated that they still have a chance to win this. That is the reason why they escalate. Why else would it? If you think you're going to lose, you just say, okay, we made a mistake, let's go back to the status quo. But they really believe they will win this. And I would think that since they're neither men or idiots, and they are supported by an army of very brilliant people, that China doesn't believe that the economic financial sanction against Russia will work. Nor does China believe the technology sanction and the trade war or any of the things that are happening right now is going to work either for China. So in the absence of these, why not, right? I'm sure China's helping Russia. I am freaking sure. I'm sure they're helping them making components for weapons, bullets, guns, whatever. For sure it is. I mean, but U.S. is not sanctioning China for a very clear reason. If they sanction China, that is a collapse of U.S. dollar system, because the world trade is done in dollar, but the goods are done in Chinese products, right? And then on top of that, you already cut off Russia, which is one of the #1 energy producers in the world, from dollar. So now, and then Saudi Arabia on top of that is now playing games on both sides and telling the Chinese, hey, I'm interested in the RMBization of our petroleum. And the U.S. like, you can't do that. You're my ally, right? I'm protecting you. Hey, we got a deal here. And that's why, there's so much negativity around the new prince, because he is a smart man, right? He's playing both sides. He's trying to get the most for his country at this point, the most support or the most financial or whatever the trade's going after. And it's going to be who's coming to the table with the sweetest deal. If China and Russia can put together a great deal, I'm pretty sure there's going to be RMBization of the petroleum in the Middle East, especially now that U.S. has become a net exporter of petroleum. They're essentially a competitor in the petroleum market. So why wouldn't Saudi offer to accept RMB as settlement for petroleum? They can still do the dollar. They're not cutting off the dollar. They still will do the dollar, but they can add RMB just to hedge their bet, especially if China come to the table with a sweet deal. There's so many things, there's so many moving parts. These diplomats, these spies, these military men must be having a very, very busy time right now in the world. For us in Southeast Asia, I'm loving it. We're not part of this mess, and we're just watching it, enjoying the drama unfold.